What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Developer Plays Railroads Online. This is episode 5, and as you can see, we are at the smelter with quite the established yard. I had some time where I wasn't able to film, where I went through and fleshed out this whole yard here at the smelter, so we're set up for operations. I figured that the tips that I told you guys from the sawmill episode would be good enough so that you could find your own way, and I could just walk you through what I did rather than lay the track right in front of you, and we can focus on laying the track to the iron mine in this next episode, which is going to be quite the challenge, I think. So, what did we do at the smelter? We came down off the mountain, as you saw in episodes 3 and 4, and I did have to replace those janky curves at the end of the line with a bridge that kind of smoothed out both of them. But we went to the north end of the smelter valley and then built out a yard, assuming that we're going to use this as a run-through industry. So trains will either come from the north or from the south, and then they will leave back the way they came or run right through. So that means I tried to set up the yard to be operational from either side and have places to store and service locomotives, which is what we see right here. So the main line comes in here, and I do have a continuous main line that runs past everything, no problems. If all the switches are lined, you don't go through any of the yard tracks, and this will ultimately go to the iron mine and maybe the coal mine if we're feeling a little crazy, but we'll see. And then everything else stubs off of that. So we have a drill track over here, which is a dedicated pull out and shunt track. So someone can shunt in this yard or switch in this yard here without fouling the main line. So trains can run past while someone is organizing long cuts of cars in the yard. And we also have a switch off here that runs to the loading side of the smelter and also to a Y at the far end. So we'll turn our trains up with this Y that runs down the leg of the canyon there. And then in here, we have our iron ore unloading track. We have 2 tracks for unloading and transloading cordwood or storing cordwood cars where the Eureka is currently parked. And then we have 2 dedicated storage tracks and then 2 more tracks that can be either storage tracks or inbound or outbound tracks, which is what we have here. You can see that we have a consist of cars ready to go to the iron mine with the ratio that it needs of 18 beams and 18 lumber ready to go. And the reason I call these the inbound or outbound tracks is that they're the only ones that directly connect to the outbound side of the main over here. If you try to come off of one of these tracks, you end up on the south drill track rather than the south main line. And everything joins back up on the same side. We have a passing track and the loading track and then the Y leg up there. And then we climb a bit of a hill because this starts getting steep up here. It's about 1.5%. And then this is just kind of a long stubbed drill track so that we can sort the yard out this end if we need to, or do some switching on this end without fouling the main once again. And beyond that, we have some facilities to service our locomotives and store our locomotives, which you saw. So it's a pretty simple yard, but I think it's going to be highly functional, and it's going to allow for through trains without too much issue. So the topic for this episode is we're going to lay the track to the iron mine now, so that we can get this train up the hill and start getting iron rolling. So I've been running some trains off on my own a little bit to make a little money so that I'm ready to start buying more cars. So it's, to keep content flowing for you guys. But if you guys would like to see just more train operations, let me know and we can do that too. But I think the best tips and tricks come from seeing how things get built. So let's get to it. So down the south end, we have the main, and then we have our yard lead, like we were talking about, the drill track on the back end. And this is where I got with the main. I said, well, we'll get here and then kind of figure it out. So now we have some decisions to make on where we want to go. And this is always challenging. This smelter valley that's right here is kind of challenging to deal with, if I'm honest. I've always struggled with getting a nice consistent grade in or out of it. So it's going to be interesting to see. And it's just because it's kind of tough geometry with the way that the hills are lined out. You end up with too sharp of a curve, or you have to have a short segment that's really steep. So, I'm thinking there's a way that we can shoot that little gap, that my arrow's pointed at. There's a little gap there. And so we could either sneak up on the left side and then try and shoot it, or we could go up the right side and then do some S-curves into it. And I think that's going to be better because I think I want to try and keep the grades a little bit shallower on this section if I can, because this is going to be a long track to the iron ore mine. Sawmill to the smelter is pretty short, even with my Georgetown loop. It's a pretty short chunk, and doubling the hill there is not a big deal because it's a short hill. This is going to be a lot of elevation change and a long run. So if I could keep it down about 2%, so that we're not putting Eureka on her knees to try and run trains, I think that would be a great thing. Okay, so let's get started with laying this grade. So I'm going to grab a constant railroad grade, and I think I'm just going to start at 2% and see where we go, knowing that I have a constant grade and I could always lessen it if I need to. And I think it's going to look a little silly with the yard lead at a lower level there, but that's just kind of the way that it fell out. So I think that's just going to be what we run with. So, and I know I normally like to build from the top down, but in this case, the iron ore mine's a long run away, and it would be nice to just run there once instead of, run there to lay the grade down and then lay the track back up, then run back. So, I'm saving myself a bunch of running. So, but it's certainly possible to lay uphill. It's just not preferred. So we'll see how it comes out. Okay, so we're kind of coming up towards... This is like this weird steep slope here that you really can't build on. This is what I always run into trouble with. So we're going to have to curve left to avoid most of this. Yeah, see? It's already right there. And is that... that's not stupid sharp, but it's a little sharp right there. And we're getting a little close to the place that I want to try and bypass. And I don't know if we're at the right height yet. Oh, this is going to be close. 2% might not be enough, which will be a bummer. I want to keep this as light as I can. And I think for looks, I think it would be nicer to be on a stone wall here. But I think we'll come back and retrofit that. Look, there's a piece of grade there. It's almost like I did some scouting when I wasn't filming. Yeah, okay. So there is this kind of valley up here, this little gullet, that we might be able to turn back into. I don't know if we could do it on a 2% though. And I also don't know exactly how sharp of a curve we can stick in here. Oh, it looks like there's going to be space to do a turnaround. Okay, so I suppose I could try and... I would rather not do like a bridge turnaround because those always feel a little silly. And I'm trying to leave the spline unconfirmed. I suppose... No, I've got a little bit more... I don't know. Okay, so let's see if we continue on with this trajectory that we've got already. If we do 2 1/4... Oh, if we do 2 1/4, we're there. I can live with 2 1/4. I think that we'll do that, because the other option that I was thinking of, just looking at it, is that you could continue at that 2%. You could continue running this way, and it would be a bit of a tall fill, but then you could turn around further back and get a little bit more room. But I think that would look a little silly. So I think we're going to do this. And I'm going to cut down trees and make sure nothing looks too super stupid. This could just be a high fill. I think that's okay. Because again, like we were talking about, there are examples of big fills on the railroad. Like even the Georgetown loop on the... One of the turnbacks is just a big pile of fill like that. And again, I think I'm going to come back and redo this as a stone wall. Right here, yeah, I think I'm gonna get the trees deleted, and then I think we'll do that. I was originally thinking when I scouted, I thought I might come up through there. But it turns out what we just did was actually even easier, so. And know that you don't have to like pre-scout this stuff like I did to have success. I'm just pre-scouting so that I'm not wasting time when I'm on camera, basically trying to get things done for you guys, because it saves me a ton of time in the edit. Okay, none of these curves are giving me the heebie-jeebies, so, and these trees are quite bouncy today. They all used to do this, actually, even the ones that were just on the ground, and it used to cause quite the problem back in the pre-Steam release. It was a silly bug. Every tree would rocket off into the distance. Yeah, that's the trick. There we go. See, I usually don't bother with looks at all, and I've been trying to be a little bit better about it lately, particularly for you guys, so you can see how to make a nice looking railroad. So I haven't done a lot of those things because I just kind of left my first draft with whatever it was. All right, and so this turn back, that's not too bad. It's a little sharp, but it's a long way to the iron ore mine. We've accomplished the first piece here. I'm gonna grab a variable grade now, and I think we're gonna run pretty flat across here because we've got this big canyon coming up. Although, yeah, we're gonna have to do a bit of a bunny hop here to get over the top of that. Through the weeds, not around them. And now we need to figure out what we're gonna do here. And once again, I open up my silly tutorial. Okay, so I guess we want to keep running along this. It's hard to tell. I'm gonna show you guys an advanced technique. You grab a bridge and you lay it at a 10% grade. And now we have a surveyor's trestle. Although we want to go a bit further than that. They don't teach you on this. They don't teach you this trick in school, kids. And no, we're not going to build the railroad up this. I'm literally using this to jump up and see what I can see. Okay. So we kind of have a couple options. We're either going to bridge across right here and go from the left side or the right side, either or we can go along this cliff and back through this canyon. And I've done that route before, so I kind of want to do this one. I kind of want to build a nice big truss right here. Although the railroad probably would have seen this and went, no, we're going to go that way. We're going to do a big canyon there. But I think it'll be pretty to have a nice big bridge here, and we could try out a new technique that we were discussing during episode 3. So I think we're going to run that way. All right, so here's our grade. I think we're going to end up being to the left of my surveyor trestle, just to kind of keep with the land a little bit more. Oh yeah, okay, so we're gonna be much lower than the level there. I'm trying to think if we want to go left or right when we get there. I've never done left. You know what? We'll do left, and I'll explore something that I've not built before, so you guys can see that. I think that'll be valuable. So we're gonna try a new technique, and I don't know if this is tall enough for a wood truss, but I've used so many steel trusses that I kind of want to use the wooden one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make the mother of all super long pieces of groundwork. And my cursor doesn't even reach far enough. So I guess I'm gonna run over there. This is a technique that a couple of people were talking about during the live premiere of episode 3. And as well, it was one that I imagined you could do, but I never bothered to try it. Oh, okay. Our groundworks isn't long enough to do that. So they must have been doing shorter trestles. Okay, so we'll stack them up. So we're going to stack up groundworks from about as far away as we can. Basically going to fill the canyon in. Oh, it gets pretty deep down there, doesn't it? And I really should have angle snap turned on this so that they lay straight. So let's see if we can grab that piece up there. Okay, we're still not to that height, so we'll do one more intermediate piece of silly groundwork, making sure to not trap ourselves in it. Okay, so now this is either going to be tall enough that we can add groundwork all the way across, or tall enough that we can just build a bridge straight across. And I think some guys were recommending that you actually build the groundwork to the height of the track and then delete it, but I think this should be fine because it's not that too super different. I think I could just build the bridge right here. This is a lot easier than mucking around on the valley floor, isn't it? Okay, so we are going to have to curve the end of this. So we'll give a little bit of end there, start to kick it. Oh, this is probably just going to be a rough draft. Yeah, super straight, beautiful bridge, super sharp curve right at the end. Yeah, I think I'm going to want to get kind of the trajectory that our groundwork's going to be. And I guess I was debating on whether to lay this on a grade or not, and now that we're monkeying with fixing bridge splines and all that, I think it's just gonna end up being flat, which is not the end of the world. It might make our climb later a little bit painful. Hopefully not. We'll see. Playing the platformer again. Alright. Trying to see where everything's going here. And then we'll see if we can't run this to that joint. Just like that. And then now we'll delete the other chunk of bridge out from underneath it. And now we delete the groundwork out from underneath it and make the bridge pretty down below as we need to. I don't know exactly how tall these guys go. I guess they go just down to there. That's the bottom of it. Okay. So we'll get rid of that, get rid of that. And I think for that middle span, I think we're not even going to run another piece of bridge. I think we'll leave it a floating center span. Getting rid of all the trees, as always. Okay, so I'm going to grab another wooden truss, and I'm going to try and get it lined up with the edge of this guy as best I can, so that I can just extrude it out, go as far as I need to with it. And we want to go to where, I guess, we don't want to go much farther than that, really, do we? Yeah, because that's the steepest part is down here. Oh, well, okay. So we want to go, I don't know, just a couple pieces longer than that. Just a couple bents longer than that, really. So about to there. Yeah, because this is the deepest portion. Something bridges on bridges. There's a early 2000s exhibit Yo Dog meme to be made about this. Let's hear your worst version of it in the chat or in the comments. Oh, I should have added earlier, I live streamed some of me operating the trains to get those cars over the mountain on my Twitch channel. I try to do streams every now and then, and they end up being pretty late Pacific time, so if you're on the East Coast or early morning in Europe, It either gets late on the East Coast or the early morning for European folks. But that's usually when I end up having a little time to kind of sink into the game, really. So feel free to check out and join my Twitch and give us a follow there, and you can get a little bit more content and interact with me directly rather than just in the comments. So, all right, about there. That looks pretty good. This is like the first like somewhat pretty bridge I'm trying to build, so hopefully it turns out somewhat okay looking. Oh, and I ended that one mid-bent. I won't stand for that. We're trying to make this pretty for once. It's got to go bent to bent. If you're clueless as to what I'm talking about, the supports, these guys are called bents, the actual vertical truss pieces. Okay. And then I know a lot of people like to put like rail deck down running across bent to bent on the bottoms. You know, that kind of looks nice. I don't know if they do it from below like I'm doing right now, but we'll do that. I said it would be a focus on root building today, but kind of got enamored with this bridge. Oh yeah, that actually came out almost exactly where I wanted it to. So what we'll do right here, because it's going to bug me now that I've seen it, is we'll add a little bit of concrete foundation. And let's go look at this bridge. I'm actually kind of excited. Perhaps, just perhaps, I will do Peyton proud. He'll probably yell at me for having a curve at the end of the bridge. Or I'm sure it's stupid for some other reason. But I'm actually kind of pleased with this. This is kind of cool. All right, carrying on now that we've accomplished something pretty. I think I'm going to use a constant stone wall because I don't know exactly what we're going to need to end up with, and I'm just going to start on a 2%. And, you know, I'm optimistic in using a constant one because obviously I'm going to have to do it piecemeal, kind of like that Georgetown Loop one. So you can't really get the benefits of the constant one when you have to be on the cliff like this so much, because you can't change the grade and then change the whole spline because you have to, your whole spline's rather short. And that's a whole thing. Okay. So try and lay it around that jagged bit of rock. So I know earlier that I was talking about saving runs back and forth, and then obviously I forgot to factor in the running back and forth, cutting the trees down, but I think regardless, running there aimlessly just to get there to start downhill, freaking trees, would have been extra work regardless. So I didn't like this little patch off here, so I'm just gonna kind of fill it out. I think just pad it out a little bit so it doesn't look like we weren't able to hug the cliff so well. Ooh. This is gonna be, oh, this is pretty. How have I never done this with the river down below? I've somehow never really laid any track anywhere near the two rivers in the game, in any of my 4 playthroughs. So this is now the first. And that's gonna just be a bridge, I think. I think we're just gonna do another bridge right here. We had the Georgetown Loop before, but I think this is gonna be a Rio Grande Southern masterpiece when it's done. If you're not familiar with the Rio Grande Southern was the kind of the bastard stepchild of the Denver and Rio Grande, or the Denver and Rio Grande Western. They basically ran trains through the most rugged of terrain with no funding, no money, no anything, and somehow lasted until the 1950s. To everyone's surprise, really, I think, because I mean, they never had cash. I mean, they were maintaining their locomotives with just whatever they had. So I've operated the Rio Grande Southern number 20 after it got restored, obviously. And That thing, the amount of work that they had to do to put that locomotive back into operating condition is ridiculous, because the Rio Grande Southern just beat the heck out of it. I mean, just never maintained it because they couldn't afford to. I mean, they just kept it running. And we can see why they did. After getting to operate that engine at the Cumbres and Toltec and seeing how she performs, it's obvious that she's a good engine and she just wants to run. I mean, super easy, super fun, a great engine to run, and just happy as a clam, doesn't give you any issues, you know, knock on wood, obviously. Hopefully she doesn't hear me say that. But a good engine. So you can see why they ran with it for so long, you know, even though that they couldn't really afford to maintain it or their other equipment. But they went over the most ridiculous terrain. I mean, like talking about the famous Over loop on the RGS. I'll post a couple of pictures here. Just an insane amount of trestles, just because that's what they had to do to reach the town and keep the railroad going at a sane elevation through that bit of territory. It's just, I mean, the whole thing's pretty much bridges. Super cool. And it looks like a lot of your guys' Railroads Online maps from what I've seen. So in the 1930s, the Rio Grande Southern, like, basically cobbled together old buses and turned them into mail delivery vehicles called the Galloping Geese, because they had no money for train crews and they needed to keep their mail contract through the Depression. That was the only way that they were able to survive as a railroad or as a business, because they had a contract with the U.S. Post Office. And so they cobbled together 7 of these old Pierce Arrow limousines and some school bus bodies, and, you know, and just using their ingenuity and what they had, they put these together, and it kept the railroad alive. But when they were able to get back to... Oh, this knife edge is not doing us any favors, is it? Sorry, pausing the Rio Grande Southern story to figure out what to do. This stabby bit here. If I were to raise the grade for a bit, we could just lay over the top of it, which I think would be the easiest thing. Although it would be darn pretty to cross this canyon. So I think we're gonna do that. I think we're building a tourist railroad. We're not building a real railroad. That's what I'm learning here. So I'm gonna climb back up to the top of this hill, and we'll talk about the Rio Grande Southern some more. Anyways, so they when they finally got back to being able to operate, you know, pull freight and operate steam trains, they could afford train crews again. They still really couldn't afford, you know, proper maintenance on their locomotives. So, I mean, they just beat up their engines. They ran them hard whenever the ICC, which was the old school version of the FRA, Interstate Commerce Commission, whenever they would come to inspect the locomotives, you know, oh, the 20 was always just out on the railroad somewhere. You know, it was on the other end of the line. Sorry, it can't be inspected today. And it was always like that because, you know, it wasn't going to pass inspection because of everything that they had to do to keep it running. So, I mean, like, when they started tearing it apart back in 2006, 2007, somewhere in there, the amount of crap that they found. I mean, the boiler had a dent in it from where they rolled it over, and they just ran it with the dent in the boiler. And, I mean, the guys at Strasburg Railroad that did a large amount of the restoration work. I mean, the lion's share of it, or at least the running gear and all that, and the boiler and the important mechanical bits, not necessarily the restoration of the pretty bits, like making it look right, if you will. The amount of stuff that they had to fix was insane. I mean, they had a rig that they built up to check the deflection of that dented piece of the boiler when the locomotive got under pressure. And it deflected a scary amount. I mean, a surprisingly large distance did the steel move. So they had to cut out, you know, a third of that course of the boiler and totally replace it because it was, I mean, just ruined. They had to cut out over half of the frame because the frame was just destroyed. There was nothing. You couldn't get the tram of the axles back to where they need to be. The spacing between the drivers, you know, that's really important when you've got side rods and main rods and whatever, right? I mean, you got to have the distance between the wheels all be the same, otherwise the rods don't work. But you couldn't do it with the way that the frame had been damaged from all these wrecks that it had been in, and all the times it's, you know, tumbled down the mountain or got buried in snow or whatever, you know? So the poor thing, I mean, just absolutely beat to heck. They reportedly found Campbell's soup cans being used for rod brasses, saw blades used for shims. There was a piece of a spike from the rail just jabbed in the middle of the frame that was used as filler, so that when they welded the frame back together with gas welding, they had something to weld to. I mean, just a ridiculous amount of stuff. They patched a bad casting in the dome lid, the steam dome lid, with lead. So when the guys at Strasbourg went to start and when they went to heat the nuts on the dome lid to take the dome lid off, because if you've never worked on super old stuff, a lot of times you have to apply heat to kind of free things up and get things to unseize, basically. And they started applying heat, and the dome lid started to melt away because it was patched with lead, and it's just not pressure maintaining or safe at all. And they ran the darn thing at 180 psi with, you know, lead as part of the pressure vessel. I mean, it's insane. Just ridiculous. So the fact that the locomotive survived is, a testament to that railroad just doing everything that they could to keep the trains running with just, nothing. Just less than nothing. A truly incredible, cool railroad back in the day. So, one of the old stories from the museum was that someone from the Rio Grande Southern came by the museum right after they got the 20, and he said, "Never fire this engine up." And it was like, oh, okay. Because, you know, it was like, okay, the museum was getting established. It was still in Alamosa at the time. It moved to Golden in, I think, 59 or 60, somewhere in there. Someone who knows the history better can correct me. But before that, it was down in Alamosa, which is a big kind of narrow gauge hub. And yeah, someone from the Rio Grande Southern apparently came and said, "Never fire this engine up. Like, it's unsafe. Don't even think of doing it." Like, oh. And for obvious reasons, I mean, everything that Strasbourg found and had to fix on the locomotive, I mean, just a total ridiculous amount of stuff. I mean, it became the new standard for any work that they did. They do a lot of contract restoration stuff out there. And it's like, well, how bad is it? Is it as bad as the 20? Oh, no, thank God. No, it's nowhere near as bad as the 20. Oh, okay. You know, just totally bonkers what happened to that thing and what they had to fix. Okay, so we're on this half of the canyon for now. I think that's going to be a really pretty big bridge right there. And I think we're going to stick on this side of the canyon until maybe up there. Or, I don't know, maybe I'll come at the iron mine from the left side. I've never tried that, so we'll see how that works out. Obviously, I have more to do on that bridge back there, but I'm going to leave it for now because I want to get us to the iron mine and not have this be a million-year-long episode or super, super stupid to edit. I think this is going to be a little too sharp if I follow all the way. I don't know. We'll see. I hope we do a racing line through that. It's not going to be too hideous. Someone was asking if we're going to get wider grades to use. And I do think, like, particularly in situations like this, wider ones would be really nice. So I'm going to pitch it. We haven't really talked about it, but I think that would be very nice for a lot of situations like that. The very first rough draft of exactly what we want to do. Yeah, if we're going for RGS, it can be just total jank. I mean, because that's what they were. One of the other notorious RGS engines is the RGS 74. It's also at the Railroad Museum, just on static display. And it used to be, before it was the RGS 74, it was the CNS 74. And before that, it was the Colorado Northwestern number 30. But I think it spent most of its time on the CNS. But the CNS traded it to the RGS for some sticks of rail in the very early 50s. Like, it was the end of the RGS's time, and they needed something to help pull up the rest of the railroad and do the last bit of operations. And so they traded sticks of rail for a locomotive. So, for those playing at home, how good is that locomotive? Do you think that locomotive's in pretty good shape if it was worth just a couple bits of rail? The answer, no. It was totally worn out, destroyed, and ruined, just like the 20. Well, not just like the 20. Probably not near as bad as the 20, but it's hard for anything to be quite as bad as the 20 was. I think when they went to move it, it was on a straight piece of track on display at the museum in Golden for a long time. That's affectionately called the 20 track. And they had to move it like 100 feet down the track to get it loaded with a crane or something, whatever, to get it on the trailer to take to Strasbourg. And it derailed 5 or 6 times in 100 feet on straight track because that's how bad the lateral motion was. Locomotives have what's called driving boxes, which is like the journal box, basically, that the drivers and the axles run through and the drivers rub up against. And they have lateral motion prevention devices called hub liners that set how far the wheels can rock left and right and allow you to go through sharper curves and stuff, which you'll note is not simulated in the game, which is why it's like the Eureka's going around a sharp curve and it looks like the lead driver is off the tracks, and it's not because it would actually be off the tracks, it's because it doesn't have any simulation of what the hub liners do for you. I think we're gonna have to go to the right. Anyway, so the lateral was so worn out, the boxes were so sloppy in the frame was so screwed up, the hub liners were so gone. I mean that it just it would derail on straight track. I mean, with a blind driver, or I don't know if it's a blind driver, actually, I don't think it is. But it would, the driver would walk over and fall in the dirt because it could just move that far. I mean, a wheel width. That's really, really far. So. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of an RGS route, isn't it? And I'm trying to think. Oh, lordy. No. Insert Mario sound effect here. God, every time I end up doing this, I still hear that. I'll have to paste that in. Sound effects from Super Mario Sunshine. I'm not sure, but I think that this is part of the plinth, for lack of a better term, or the mesa that the iron ore mine is on. I think it's further back still. Yeah, but this is kind of where we want to be getting to. And we're getting there with a 2% grade the whole way. So, that's a good deal. Doing well. I think I'm going to go back to constant stone wall, and if we could shovel off the grade towards the top, that would be kind of money, I think, because then we can get a little bit more speed when we're coming into the iron ore mine. All right, and now we'll go into this guy. And it looks like we still need to have a grade going. But where is the iron ore mine? Is it just I can't see the band through the trees, man. It is time for us to build another patented survey trestle. Oh, poop on a stick. Oh. Yeah. So, remember when I was so thrilled at about how we were coming up this with a 2% grade the whole time? And we were, like, at the level of the iron ore mine, and we were there, and it was perfect? Yeah, it's still up there. Right. This is why I like working downhill instead of uphill, because you know, like, it's easier to go down. Things fall downhill. Okay. Well, so, how are we gonna do this? I don't honestly know. Problem solving time. And there's the words iron ore mine really big on the map right where I'm trying to look. Maybe that'd be QOL, be able to toggle those on and off. I'm gonna get a little bit more height on my patented surveying trestle. Get a better picture. I really need to get above these trees is what I need to do. Yeah, let's run trains up this. Okay, so we're down here. And we could continue to go around, wing it back up there, and then come up there. I'm really happy with the 2% the whole way. And we've still got a fair amount of height to go, so that might be the thing. The other thing we could do is we could curve across the canyon. No, that's not going to get us enough height. Okay, so we're going to run back. And we're going to come along this, and I think there's this flat spot over there. Or a wide enough spot, at least, that we can get to the right height, turn back, and then come up the final climb. I was hoping I was going to make that jump. Now that I know that I'm not in danger of getting to the iron mine right now, let me delete all of this, because I don't know if I had grades on all of it, and I should, because obviously we're still climbing. I'm going to go to a variable grade, 2%. And we're going to try and come to the inside edge here as best as we can. And follow this ledge. Right around here. Paying no mind to any amount of curvature because I can't see it. Alright, let's confirm that spline. Oh, it doesn't look half bad. Yeah, look, we're so close! It'll also be a pretty run when it's done, but lordy. Definitely a long and hard climb at 2% from the smelter. I was thinking I could do 2% because I've run from the sawmill doing 2%. Once you get past, well, we're getting close to the height we need right there. So I guess we're gonna transition to a stone wall. And I'm gonna get this a little bit further and we'll see what it looks like. Get all that placed. Well, this is gonna be, it'll be so cool to be able to look across the canyon though and see the trestles. I'm glad that I did that. I think that's cool. I think I'm gonna be hating myself for laying the track this shallow and this long until we get speed buffs. At which point I will hate myself for how bad my track is and how much I'm derailing because I'm trying to run 30 miles an hour through this canyon. Okay, so I was thinking my turn back was going to be up here somewhere. And now we can more clearly see what the heck's going on. We definitely have more height to go, so that's... Yeah, toolbar would be nice instead of going through the menu, huh, wouldn't it? That just... That's a bit of a jagged bit back here, isn't it? Probably wasn't that bad when I laid it from the first go. That's probably where I could click. But now we can fix it. And there's a gap. Ah! Okay, so we've almost made it back to our turn back location. And yeah, we're gonna have to do a little something about that bridge. Make it a little prettier as well. And I'm thinking we're gonna be able to turn around here somewhere. So we're gonna keep this grade moving at that 2%. And I think we're gonna have to do a little bridge right here to about over there. So I'm gonna lay a piece of groundwork just as a scaffold for now, so I can get down easily, and I'm gonna cut the trees out the way. Typically I like to cut the trees after, but with bridges it can get a little weird, and having the extra line of sight is kind of nice, honestly. So we're gonna get rid of these and get a good picture of where we're gonna go. It is decently wide up here, but not until a higher level, so. And it looks like almost the level of the ironworks. So we very well may find ourselves leveling off and turning back, and then just running back towards the ironworks at a flat level, which, you know, obviously isn't as optimized as we possibly could be, but at the same time is preventing us from having a stupid ruling grade overall. You know, maybe we could have done it at 1 3/4 or something instead, but you know, it's kind of one of those things where you just kind of have to start it and see what happens. So, and we'll try and keep that curvature going a little bit. This is looking like it's gonna be really close. So I'm gonna go back to trying to follow the terrain a little bit through here. Not too closely, because it's going to lead to a couple sharp curves, I think. We might pad some of this out. We'll see. Coming up on a pretty big cliff face. And then it drops down over here. So hopefully we'll be high enough and ready to turn back up here. That's kind of what I'm shooting for. Okay. Now, what's the move here? Got a little narrow gully here, but we got to be considerably higher to hit this. This is kind of our low spot right here, unless there's another one possibly on the back side of this. Oh, and there kind of is. Could be kind of cool if we could sneak up this. Oh, this might work out. This might end up being a really short, steep segment, maybe. I don't know. But that's kind of possible looking, I think. But I think if we do that, it's hard to see because it's kind of nestled back in here. I'm gonna mark this with a bridge. So that's still considerably higher than where we're at. So maybe we keep going and turn back up ahead still. Yeah, because we can't make that height difference from here. So, well, that's higher than this guy. We're going to end up with a bare hillside here. Is that even taller than... Yeah, this is still even taller than that. Okay. That piece back there where I built that bridge. So this is our other target height. And that's still far off, but that's not... I mean, it's like half the change there. So I think we're going to build... We might have our very own Ophir loop moment, I think, because I think we're gonna have to build a trestle across here to this side, marry back up on this, and turn back on this piece of mountain, and then end up over there. Okay, so as we learned in episode 3, we want to place all of these spline segments first. And then we want to modify the grade so that the bridge actually lays on the grade that we want it to. Oh, and We may need to make a pass or two at this. I don't know. If we put it at 4% for the cutest brief little bit. Oh, I could do it at 3. Okay, so we've just done a really rough draft, weird turnaround trestle. And I think we'll be able to build one that works from the base of that one now, I think. Because that's not really what I wanted it to look like. I think it almost needs to stay going straighter for longer, and I'm going to get rid of some of this groundwork because I don't like that. So I'm going to start there, and we're going to run this out straight for a little bit longer, and then we're going to kind of closely watch the trestle bents to see our curvature change while we're running on the ground there. And I'm just going to build this all the way as a trestle, and then know that I'm probably going to delete some of it for groundwork. And it seems like it's letting me place some amount of splines like in the hill and stuff, so that's fine. Do that, and then... Oh, that's even on 2%. Okay, but we still have conflict, right? 2.5, 2 3/4. I'm pretty confident that we could change the track geometry at 2.5%. I'm pretty confident that I could get this at 2.5% now. So let's get rid of some of the clutter that we've got going on. Obviously now it looks like a mess of bridges that don't make any sense. But that's kind of the survey tool that we have at the moment, so that's what I'm using. Yeah, see how this one kicked like that? Yeah, we don't want that. So get rid of this other guy. And we might be able to just leave the first half of this. The first half felt pretty good, but obviously not being able to see exactly where everything was laying because we were underneath and, you know, trying to hold our grade at 0 while we built the trestle. Now we can see, we could start anew right here. So if we, I don't want to get rid of this piece of bridge, I want to get rid of this piece. And actually we could probably do all that with groundwork. Yeah, okay. And that would actually look nicer too. So let's do that. So we are at 2.5%. And we'll just bring it around town. Bring it around. And as soon as I can go back to my ruling grade of 2, I do. All right. Now we are up above ourselves. All right. Now let's go check this back and make sure it doesn't have any stupid kinks in it. Yeah, that's kind of cool, actually. I kind of like how that turned out. So a little turn back. Reverse loop. And it looks like we're still below the mine level somehow. I wonder, well, we might be able to wander along the hill this time up here. So I think we'll try and do that as opposed to having a second trestle right there. That would be funny. And I kind of want this little piece of, just this short piece. As normal groundwork. Not the stone wall. It's nice to be able to get up on the sides of these things and not have to worry about it. And keep laying there. That looks pretty good. I almost kind of want to delete some of these trees just to see what came behind you. And the dream is to have a train long enough someday that you see it down right there. Little Tanglefoot curve kind of action. If you guys aren't familiar with Tanglefoot curve, that's a feature of track, or a bit of track on the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad, formerly the Denver and Rio Grande Western / Denver and Rio Grande. So your Class 70s would have run around it. But it's a curve almost like this, where it's a big circle, like a turn back circle, where the elevation change is pretty significant, but you basically pass your caboose if you have enough cars, even closer than these two do. This is definitely my longest route to the iron mine yet, but it's also my shallowest grade. No, I had a 2% from the sawmill once as well, but I don't know. This one's definitely being pretty. And what does a couple minutes add if you're enjoying the scenery? Slightly less revenue. Good God, man. Think of the shareholders. I'm not sure where the delineator is for the right height coming up on this side. The whole time I've been building this route, I've also been thinking, how do I want to get to the coal mine? Because I'm halfway tempted to get to the coal mine as a branch off of this line, but I think that's going to have to be a really steep railroad. Like, I'm thinking the coal mine route is going to be, I'm thinking that's going to be a 4 or 5% kind of guy. I don't know, it might make sense to take off somewhere over there and just go 5% up and over or something. Because I've done a 5% route across this, the close canyon between the iron ore mine and the coal mine. And I can't honestly recommend it. It was pretty silly, and it had a lot of sharp curves, and it was, I mean, a 5% ruling grade. I mean, that's a little excessive. Lordy, lordy, look at this S-curve. Yeah, smooth that out a little bit. Oh God, we're getting close and we're not quite at the height yet. Oh no. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna keep laying at 2%, and then worst case we come up short, and then I'll lay a steeper grade down over top, going downhill back to this grade to find where it works. Because yeah, we want to be up on that plinth. And actually, I think I'm going to have to do that right now anyways. Man, all of this run of 2%, the whole flipping way. It's a lot of height change. Because I want to come off up here somewhere so I have space to build the yard like I want to. So that's what we'll do. We got nice and close. I'm going to clear some trees. A couple minutes later, and look, presto changeo, all the trees are gone. All right, so I've placed a little groundwork just to get the kind of the height that I like off of the floor. Make sure that there's no collisions. Nice and robust, all that good stuff. I'm going to get aimed in the right direction. So now I'm gonna run this back onto the top of that as best as I can with a constant stone wall. And I'm gonna try 2.5%. And we'll see kind of how close we're getting to linking up down the run here. Because this is gonna be a while. I mean, shoot, even at 6.5%, we're still not getting here. So maybe we do a long section of. Oh, I don't want to do a long section of 4. That's going to be a really long section of 4%. That's going to make the ruling grade kind of garbage. Man, is this when we bite the bullet and go back and find a longer turnaround? I was worried that I was going to be too high and that I was going to be coming down, but obviously it's not the problem. And this is the pitfall of these things. So we can see how we could shoehorn some more track in to try and keep it 2%. But even if I was doing, like, if I tried to do 3%, I guarantee you it would come back to here. And I'd really, I don't know, I guess I could, if I can't find a good turn back location, like right here or something, I'll just change it to 3%. And then just know that it just gets crappy on this half. You know? And then we'll double, you know, whatever we have to double with the Eureka to start. Unless there's a better turn back location over here to keep it about 2%. That would be the dream, but I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. because this is like a nice wide parcel of relatively flat land. So let's go see what we got. Oh, well, we got space over here. We got all kinds of space over here. Oh, it even flat. Well, okay, well, but this is lower down, though. Yeah, at the height that I'm at, we kind of run out of height over here. Like, this is like a big flat yard segment or something. Like, you could build a yard up here if you wanted to. I mean, that's how flat some of this plateau is. But, I mean, it's like the height that we were already. You'd have to have a big trestle to turn back. And I don't really want that. Because that feels a little bit out of the realm of something that you would see. I mean, so does that stupid trestle down there, but it's one thing when it's like, oh yeah, we had to cross the canyon and that was the place. That's somewhat plausible. A giant turn back floating trestle in the sky doesn't feel near as plausible. Yeah, because there's nothing... Yeah. Okay, so this is the turnback spot. Okay, so we're just gonna have to cry about it and make it a 3% grade, I guess. Or, yeah, I guess a 3. Or, hang on. Idea. What if the iron mine's really long. What if we try and keep going 2% and do one more loop back there? I like that idea. I'm gonna run over there and we're gonna try it. And if it doesn't work, I'll cut it. Okay, so we are below the iron mine where we left our groundworks. And it's hilarious, like it's like right there. I mean, literally, it's right there. The finish line is in sight, but 2% grade makes this a challenge. And I know a lot of you guys are probably wondering, like, why I'm making this 2% when I already made the more used connection at 4%, you know, but I did say earlier, and I do believe it, that's like the big thing is that, oh, this is kind of cute. We can stab that through there somehow. That's kind of cool. Through this little rock cropping here. This is a much longer run. So if you have to double this, I mean, it's one thing if you're doubling not even a half mile a track like that other hill is, but if you're doubling this monstrosity that we're building, I mean, that's a significant time investment, put it that way. Maybe when we get some motive power that's got some serious tonnage behind it, we can relay this as a 4% and cut out half of it. I'm kind of showing you guys the two extremes to route building, you know. How do you make the long, winding, easy grade, and how do you make the stupid, steep, get her done kind of grade? We now need to, like, have 2 different trestles and then a turn back over there, I think. I think that's what's going on here. So we're gonna do that. But Heist, this time you didn't delete the trees. Well, you know, who said I was consistent? And now I'm paying for it by having to delete trees that are glitching through a trestle, which is never great. Hopefully there's space to turn around over here. If we get high enough. Yeah. Yeah, if we get high enough, we can make it there. And I think we can get high enough. It's looking like it. I actually don't, now that I have this bridge at 2%, I don't think I want to make that turn there. I think I want to have it come into there, and then we'll get rid of this piece of the bridge. Oh, and that did a funky thing that I didn't like. So maybe we'll grab it there. And we'll try and lay one piece because it kicked back the wrong way. There we go. And we'll get rid of that and that. That. And then honestly, this could turn into a variable stone wall right there. It's fine that we're entombing that piece of bridge. Oh, Christ. Right. We've learned that lesson before. I think we can now turn around. I have no idea what I want to do as far as groundwork versus bridge versus what here. I think this is all okay being the stone wall for the time being. I do kind of think it would be nice if we could slope it off on the inside and make it look a little nicer. And then I think right here we can go to the classic groundwork. Get these mother-loving trees out of here. Oh, yes. It is finally coming together. How many dog bones has this railroad done? Yes. Yes, all of them. We can do a straight shot. That would be nice. I'm just going to confirm that. So it seems like the easiest way to get over there. This railroad feels a little silly. This was how we planned this railroad to work. We didn't have to build a surveying helix trestle. That did not happen. Okay, I'm gonna actually I should be using a constant grade. That's what I should be doing. We're gonna grab a constant stone wall. And we're just gonna lay it 0. And then figure out if we need to just like do the ever slightest cute little downgrade. But I think this grade, like the grade of the ground, runs downhill right there a little bit. Yeah, we're actually almost exactly at the height of the groundwork that I already picked. Okay, so we'll end that there. We'll get a constant grade going here. And 0.25% down. All right, so we overcooked it by just the cutest little bit. Okay, well now it's time to lay track down the whole rest of the way. And I have a feeling that at this point, the root building piece, the grade laying piece, I think is the hard, challenging piece that you guys need to see. There's not going to be like super complex track work. You've seen how I lay track. Half of you judge how I lay track anyways. So we'll just kind of brush past that and we'll run over the newly completed railroad in the next episode of this series. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the little bell if you want a notification for whenever I'm going to post videos. Make sure you give the video a like as well if you like this video. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll catch you next time.